Hello, fans, and welcome into the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I'm Tony Luff, and this show all about you, the fans, because you get to ask the questions of today's special guest, Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Jameson Taillon. There are two ways to ask a question. Click the green button below and sign up or sign in for your chance to ask that question live, or tweet us using the hashtag Chatting Cage to get your questions in. Without further ado, let's bring in Jameson Taillon. Welcome inside the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Jameson, first things first, your last name has a unique pronunciation. What's the worst it's ever been butchered?
I've heard just about every bad pronunciation of it you can do. My own dad mispronounces it a lot for business, so he'll do Talon, Taillon. I hear Italian Stallion, but it's like a tie and you own it, Taillon.
I like it. Rocky Balboa has nothing on you. You're our favorite Italian stallion. We go to Twitter for our first question of Jameson Taillon in the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. At BucksFan32 asks, what is the mood in the clubhouse when you guys wake up and see the game forecast calls for snow like you guys saw at PNC Park this past week?
Man, yeah, it's interesting baseball weather to say the least, but most of our minor league affiliates are in the north, and we open up when it's pretty cold, so all of us have some experience playing in it, but man, we actually don't talk about it too much. We kind of just take it for what it is, go out and try to win a ball game regardless of the weather.
And you've been doing that. 5-1 to start the season, a great start for the Bucks. Let's welcome in our first fan question. What's your name and what's your question for Jameson?
How's it going, Jameson? My name is Jesse, and my question for you is, when you were growing up, who did you idolize most in baseball?
That's a good question. I get asked that a lot. There's a couple guys, but growing up in Houston, I was a really big fan of the Killer Bees, so really Biggio and Bagwell, and then Berkman later on. But I really liked watching Biggio play the game. He was batting leadoff for the Stros when I was growing up. And as a pitcher, I went from Roger Clemens, and then once he retired, I kind of switched to watching Justin Verlander a bunch and trying to model my stuff after his.
All of us could go a long distance towards character in modeling ourselves after the way you've handled the adversity you faced, battling cancer with so much courage. The next question has to do with that. At Lindsay Hartz on Twitter, you've used your love for coffee to help benefit others who are battling cancer. Can you tell us how that all came about?
Yeah, so, it was a big life lesson for me last year. I had all these goals set out, and I had all these dreams and ambitions for what my year was going to look like. And, getting diagnosed kind of took me off that path and kind of hit me out of nowhere, threw a curveball at me, pun intended. But, the Pirates organization is really big into charity, and I had been looking for something I could get behind and a cause I could kind of promote. And with my cancer and my love for coffee, I decided to do a partnership with a local coffee shop that's benefiting a local charity called Lending Hearts that helps young kids living with cancer. So, it wasn't my favorite month going through the cancer surgery and the treatment and the way back, but I think in the long run it's going to make me a better person, and I'll hopefully be able to impact people.
That's a win-win all the way around. Our next question for Jameson Taillon on the Edward Jones Chatting Cage comes from a fan. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and my question is, what is it like being teammates with Gregory Polanco?
I love playing with Poe. I kind of came up playing with him in the Pirate system. We were teammates in Double-A. We used to hang out a bunch at Pirate City in spring trainings when we were younger. So he's a dude with a lot of energy, a big heart. He's always smiling, always laughing. He's one of the best dressed guys on the team. And as you guys can see, he's coming out of the gate hot this year. I faced him in some live BPs in spring, and I could just tell something was different about his swing, and he's ready to put it all together.
That's lofty praise for Poe from JMO, according to MLB.com. That's your nickname. Our next question for you on the Edward Jones Chatting Cage is the EDJ question of the day. You're known in part for your terrific curveball. Can you give us some insight on how you've developed that pitch or if it's evolved over time?
Yeah, so it's definitely evolved over time, but ever since a young age when I started learning a curveball came easier to me than a changeup. That's kind of always been my pitch. Like I kind of say it when I was coming back from Tommy John even, a lot of people say the feel for your secondary pitches is the last thing to come, and for me, it was like I didn't miss any time. I picked up the curveball, and I still had really good feel for it. So it's just a pitch that kind of comes naturally to me. Some guys spinning the ball doesn't come as naturally as others, and for me, spinning the ball comes a little more naturally than throwing a changeup. But I've messed around with a lot of grips. I play catch with it a lot. I ask a lot of questions to my catchers, to hitters I'm facing. I'm just constantly looking to improve it and get it better. But yeah, it's kind of just one of those things that I've just naturally had a good curveball.
Your curveball is filthy. Speaking of curveballs, the finale of The Bachelor. Ari Lyondike Jr. That's our focus with the next question here on the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. The question comes from @ThisIsCarly. You tweeted a little bit about The Bachelor recently. Are you a hardcore fan of the show, and what were your thoughts on the finale of Ari's season?
Well, I can't claim to be a hardcore fan because I actually didn't see the finale. I read up on it a little bit, and I guess a lot of people were pretty upset with what he did. But, man, I just couldn't get into this season. He didn't bring much to the table as far as entertainment, so yeah, I wasn't too into it. But I always start watching it with my girlfriend, and then she'll start looking at her phone or something, and I'll get more into it than her. But yeah, this year I wasn't really digging it too hard.
We understand, Jameson. Good answers to all of these questions. We really appreciate you joining us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yep, thank you for having me.
That's Jameson Taillon, and we thank you so much for joining us on the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. We hope you enjoyed it. Please continue to submit your questions. We'll have plenty more of these as the season moves along. Thanks so much for watching the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I'm Tony Luffman.